Can I just say one thing? Thank God Jackie Chun is finally back in action, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Today I will be reviewing and discussing the Tien Shinhan Saga, aka the Second World Martial Arts Tournament. However, before we start things off today, I'd recommend subscribing. About 96% of viewers currently watching do not subscribe. I simply just want to get the word out, of course, and at the end of the day, it is 100% your choice, and I completely understand that. Nevertheless, it's been about 3 years since our characters all last met, and that's something I've noticed within Dragon Ball. It isn't afraid of aging up its characters whatsoever. It strikes the perfect medium between what most series decide to do. Most of the time they go for this one big crazy time skip that I guess you could say is the part 2 of the show, sort of like Naruto and One Piece. And then you have the complete other spectrum where, let's use Pokemon for example, Ash Ketchum is always 10 and he always will be 10. Akira Toriyama though, he opts in to slowly and gradually age up his characters many times. Whether that means skipping a year here or there doesn't really matter, but I enjoy this approach and it gives a good illusion of character development and settings evolving naturally over time. This allows for new and interesting plot elements to also emerge. Take this into consideration as well. I think all the characters reuniting again with Goku, it makes it feel a lot more special knowing that it's been 3 years since they last seen him. There is another returning face, Roshi's long-term rival Master Shin, who is accompanied by his best pupils who are going to fight within the tournament alongside Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha. Honestly, this is a great change for a few reasons. One, it's good for world building and it fleshes out Roshi's past. Master Shin's students are also a great addition to the story. If you remember when I discussed the first World Martial Arts Tournament saga, one of the complaints I pointed out were the abundance of one-off or generic fighters that were present. Tien Shinhan and Chaozu clean up this issue nicely. These two proved to be engaging characters over time, especially Tien, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Not gonna lie, there is a lot of excitement to be, going around here. We got new rivals, old rivals, we have returning friends, a time skip, anything else but the shitty Red Ribbon Army. I mean, this is fucking hype. We get the World Martial Arts Tournament, one of my favorite arcs within the original Dragon Ball so far, is making a return. Like, I didn't think it was gonna come back, but this is revving up to be, like, just fucking epic. Like, I'm just trying to put you through the mentality that I had when I first watched. Again, I fucking hate tournament arcs. I think usually it's just a slogfest in a lot of other animes. Like, it's like, okay, you get your cool flashy fights, no substance, that kind of thing. But in Dragon Ball, it just fucking works. For some weird reason, it just perfects the formula so well. For me, it's become the tried and true textbook example on how you do a tournament arc. Maybe the Chunin exams. That's the only comparison I feel like I can make. Okay, enough about that. The preliminary matches are a breeze, of course, and I'm glad that they don't spend too much time on them. It's just a lot of the times the opponents aren't really that interesting, and again, it's pretty predictable that, these guys are going to be moving on. In the last tournament, even Yamcha passed with flying colors. But the one thing I want to mention, the montage music is fucking absolutely fire. Also, a little bit of a side note, but it's cool that Nam makes a quick return, but I don't think that's what anybody cares about. It's who made it to the final rounds. Tien Shinhan, Yamcha, Jackie Chun, Manwolf, Chaozu, Krillin, Goku, and some celebrity dude named Pompet all passed the preliminary rounds. I gotta be real here, this is a really solid roster. Even the meh contestants, including Manwolf and Pompet, do have some pretty good moments, like when Manwolf wants vengeance on Roshi for destroying the moon in the last tournament, and in Pompet's case, Goku gets abducted like a child, and evil Launch saves the day. I didn't mention this factor beforehand, but Launch up to this point can function with the group properly with her evil self. This proves to be useful, like in this situation, and also in crowd control. Also, why is Yamcha scummed every time he receives an opportunity to shine? In the last tournament, he gets fucked over by Jackie Chun. This time, Tien breaks his leg purposely, and yeah, while on topic, Tien, Chaozu, and Master Shin up to this point were sort of just your typical happy-go-lucky rivals, I suppose, but Goku literally drops the bomb and reveals that he was the one who murdered Tao. Tao apparently is Master Shin's brother. I mean, I don't really see much of the resemblance, but sure, I guess we can go with that. I must say, in hindsight, it gives Mercenary Tao more presence, and it sort of makes him a better villain now that he's connected with much more interesting characters that have a direct correlation with this plot. I mean, this definitely fleshes out his character, you know, aside from just being your stereotypical random bounty hunter. From this point on, however, Tien vows to what did I write? Vows to kill Goku in vengeance for his fallen master? Oh my god. Anyway, with, you know, Tien and everybody wanting vengeance on Goku, this sort of creates a good layered call to action. Not only does Goku and the gang want to win the tournament, but now they also have to deal with the Crane School. Within the original tournament saga, this just wasn't present. The goal, like I mentioned earlier, was to simply win. And you can even make an argument that there really wasn't an antagonist whatsoever. I'm glad that the formula has evolved, because while I was really hyped, I was also worried that there'd be a lot of repeating themes, but that's far from the case. There are a lot of new elements that the plot likes to play around with. Throughout this tournament, we are going to get pretty interesting matchups. Goku versus Krillin, of course, is going to be entertaining, and not in a way most people would suspect, but it's sort of a milestone for Krillin's character. If this sort of setup was done when he was first introduced, we'd have a completely different outcome. Krillin, up to this point, respects Goku and truly values him as a friend. In contrast, previously he sort of had a hate for Goku, even scumming him multiple times. All of this is a result of envy and jealousy, but right now I don't think Krillin really cares if he loses. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he wants to win as much as the next guy, but at the end of the day, it's just sort of may the best man win mentality. And yeah, that does sound pretty cliche, but it's done well enough to where it becomes very engaging. I'll elaborate on this quote-unquote sportsmanship mentality a bit later. Really though, who cares about all that? Jackie Chun is finally back, and man, does he have a very good matchup with Tien. At first, I really wasn't sure on who would win. I mean, Tien is very strong, and there's no way the story is just going to throw him out until he versus Goku. But then on the other hand, it's Jackie Chun we're talking about. I mean, this guy can't lose. Roshi, though, throughout the match tries to convince Tien that he's following a false master, basically putting his moral compass into question, and really a fair amount of the fight accumulates to telepathic conversation, but realistically, Tien isn't going to change his ways on a dime, and rightfully so. If he were to, then, I mean, that wouldn't make his character as believable. I mean, the guy's going to have natural denial. With no choice, I hate to say this, but Jackie Chun does forfeit the match, and not gonna lie, at first I kind of was extremely disappointed because I wanted Roshi to go all out. I wanted to see what kind of fighting potential he had. But contrary to what I'm saying, Master Roshi made the best decision possible. The only way to prove a point is to take action. Rambling about what may seem like propaganda to somebody else isn't ever going to convince anybody to do or change their ways. Let's say if Roshi lost, then, well, that would be sort of ironic, and it would prove the fact that his ways are wrong. And even if he had won, that would just piss off Tien to the point of no redemption. And when you break it down like this, it makes sense. He needs to set an example to get inside Tien's head, because, okay, first and foremost, he's like, okay, why the hell did he forfeit? Did he pussy out? Or maybe he's trying to prove a really good point. Afterwards, that's literally all he's thinking about. You know what's the great thing in all this? The talk that Tien and Master Roshi have when the battle is over. It's a very interesting conversation, and Roshi has a lot of good quotes within it. One thing that does pop out for me is there's a sort of theme that Roshi's trying to express. Basically, since Tien was, presumably, right, when Tien was a kid or at a very young age training under Master Shin, he was always supposed to be branded as a killer. It sort of goes into that saying, you are who you think you are, or at the very least, what other people define you as. And like I mentioned, he kind of grew up with the mentality of becoming, you know, a killer or a bad person in general, but Roshi throws the idea of him becoming a good person and a hero, and that sort of puts him off guard. It's not something that he's ever probably been told throughout his entire life. I actually really enjoyed Tien's character development. He's probably one of the most serious characters within Dragon Ball that we've seen up until this point. But nah, we still got one more match to talk about, and probably one of my favorite fights so far within Dragon Ball, the final match between Tien and Goku. This may sound a little bit off topic, but one of the great things about Naruto was the early fighting system where really it was pure hand-to-hand combat, no special gimmicks, no bullshit. It was just pure fighting action. And I bring that up because in this fight, that's really what it is. I mean, to be fair, towards the end, there's a few Kamehameha waves thrown here and there, but in the beginning and middle, it's just pure action. Really, it's also a stalemate between the two, and those are the best kind of fights. It may sound sort of weird. I'm like, okay, why would a stalemate be a great fight? But it kind of keeps everything balanced, and it also keeps you on edge because you're really not sure on who would win at the end of the day. I mean, on the other side of things, it's not really interesting if it's completely one-sided, but these guys are literally going to town. Like, freaking Tien grows like, what, 6 arms? It's totally insane, but it's an thrilling fight. Also, a lot of the bullshit from Chiaotzu, like helping Tien cheat, is interesting too as well, because it proves that Master Shin and his corrupt ways are ridiculous, and it serves as a good example towards Tien that helps prove Master Roshi's point from earlier on. Once Tien finds out about all this cheating, he's naturally pissed. He just simply wanted a fair fight. I think this proves another thing. He isn't a cold-blooded killer. Well, I mean, why would he value fairness? If you compare him to someone like Mercenary Tao, who plays very dirty, and if I remember correctly, I think he low-key lied about, you know, spare mercy on me, that kind of thing, because after he pulled that whole skit, he literally threw a grenade in Goku's face. Also, after finding out about this, Tien decides to give Goku a few free hits. I don't know, I just really like that kind of sportsmanship. It also proves once again that Tien isn't a killer. He could be a good person. And by the end of it all, I mean, dude, the whole arena is literally destroyed, and Goku and Tien are falling, and whoever falls first loses the tournament. Tien only wins because Goku gets hit by a car, which made his landing happen quicker. Yeah, that sort of sucks, and it's kinda cheap, not gonna lie, but hey, Jackie Chun's last request for Tien was to defeat Goku and not let his students win the tournament, and you know what? I'm fine with that. Tien's also a pretty good sport about it. I mean, he even offers to split the money with Goku, because even he admits that, yo, he got won by a little bit of luck there towards the end, and he even pays for dinner for everybody. So again, there's a lot of respect to go around, and I really enjoy the sportsmanship mentality. Let's be real. In the beginning, Tien wanted to kill Goku and is now quote-unquote buddy-buddy with him. On paper, this sounds very silly and forced, but in action, I actually feel like it's very engaging and natural. With that, I will conclude my review on the Tien Shinhan Saga. Overall, a very enjoyable arc. Just a total improvement from the Red Ribbon Army arcs. I'm just so glad that the World Tournament actually made a return, and it was able to evolve the formula very well. You know what? I'm not gonna lie, I feel like things are gonna get pretty boring from here on out. You can't get better than the World Martial Arts Tournament arcs. Nah, so you know what? I don't even care what they're trying to allude. Nothing bad can ever happen to these characters. This is Dragon Ball, a nice, light-hearted show. So until then, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe and stay tuned in for my next reviews. Thank you guys so much and have an awesome day.